Right, so
Jacob, sorry, can I just interrupt? The thing about smoke alarms, people like us that aren't electricians, what do we do in that situation?
majority of them clip on, clip off. So ideally, if there's additional ones, I'd probably be engaging Ben and getting Ben to fit them out with ones that definitely are clip on, clip off. That way, going forward, as you maintain the client, like we've had regional housing 5 years, maybe 4 years. I know we've nearly done 10,000 jobs with them. So, yeah, we've done a lot of work for them. But they're long-term tenant or long-term clients. So what we want to do is put in detectors, and then going forward, you maintain that client relationship, and then leak and just swap them out as they fail.
Right.
Yeah. Does that sound fair, Ben? You get all the dirty work up.
But Lee could also install battery operated ones, wireless ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not.
Are they only accepting those in older premises though?
Yeah, and you don't have to run you only have to replace hardwired if it's already hardwired. Like you got to replace like for like, but you don't have any new home or substantially renovated. They have to be hardwired.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I'm going to put wireless ones in my home.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So
slack.
Yeah. I don't want to get up on the roof.
Yeah.
It's hot.
it's winter.
Perfect time to do it now.
There's snakes and possums.
All right. So monthly group numbers. So turnover for the group was 515,000. Jobs completed was up, so 1733. Quotes created was around the 358 again. We've got 3 new franchisees looking to come on board. So South Australia, I've been talking to for a while. He runs his own fire company. He wants in on national clients. He wants in on the technology that we've got and all the back end stuff and training for staff. So he should be a good one. NQ, so we've had a guy in looking to take Mackay on. I've done the right thing and gave Luke the heads up that, he mightn't have a job much longer. His wife actually said 2 weeks prior to that phone call that he should have called me and got he should be franchise. So I'm talking to them tomorrow. And Melbourne's paid a deposit even prior to coming to a discovery day. He's been a salesman for sheds. He knows how to sell. He is a little bit older. He said he wishes he found this 10 years ago, but he is going at it. He is pretty keen, so which is good. So to analyse it, we are down a little bit on turnover. Our jobs are up as well. Quotes are about the same. And the end of financial year, we're closing, so we want to try and get everything cleaned up that you've got sitting out there. All right. So what we want to work on as a group this time, we'll just quickly go over last month, but customer acquisition is what we want to work on. And some of this stuff towards the end of it, we'll sort of work out how we go forward and what we can do. But before we get there, we need to work out figures and understand what your costs are. All right, so last month was customer experience. So can I go around the group and just ask what you did or what you changed for customer experience in your business? So I'll start with you, Simon. Come on.
Customer experience, they love me, Jacob.
You have done something to get that love up, an extra point.
Oh, just Dave, you put it on. Just comes naturally, mate.
All right. So as the business grows, the love that you're giving naturally can't be across everybody. So what are you doing that, or what could you do that could change that? I suppose is what we need to think about.
Do what you going to do, what you actually say you're going to do, and go above and beyond. I suppose. Yeah, make them feel like they're getting more for what they get realistically. Yeah, is that what you're after? Or what do you mean? Like,
Yeah, no, that's a good answer.
Do follow-ups as well, make sure they're all happy and all the rest of it, especially the bigger clients. If there's any dramas, let me know. Just talk to them.
Yeah.
Just try and have one-on-one. Yeah.
That's good.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yep. So Kim, did you change anything in your business?
Yeah. Rolf has a bit of a hearing impairment, so he struggles a bit with going to sites and stuff, and I've made him aware because I've been with him once or twice and noticed that he thinks he's heard what he thought he heard, but it hasn't been. So he's taking extra care to just listen a bit more clearly to actually what the customer wants before jumping ahead and assuming what the customer needs, and that seems to be working a bit better.
That's great. Leah?
Sorry, what was the question?
So last month we talked about customer experience. What have you or Lee done over the past month that have changed to improve customer experience?
Nothing really, just the same, just working hard, and that's it. Just keeping the communication up with them, letting them know we're coming along, and just booking in, because they like you to phone them. A lot of people, we've got the regular people that like us to let them know, rather than Lee just turning up. Yeah, that's it really.
Yeah. Ben?
Yeah, so not so much last month, but this month I've started just calling people and scheduling work, emailing, keeping the channels open so they're aware of what's happening. Because scheduling work sucks. We can't just turn up. It's hard.
It is, even with regular people, isn't it, Ben? You can't just walk in, and most people don't want it done, really. They don't want it done, and they're just like, oh, okay then. But if you kind of email them, and rather than Lee just walking in,
On that note, what do you do when you are phoning to confirm your service, and the client says, oh, no, I'm not worried about it this month, you can do it on your next run? How are you meant to approach that? Like, what can you say? Because you know that it has to be done. There's a time frame.
They get a month's grace, don't they? They do get, I think they get a month's, is it a month's grace?
Only on certain things.
Yeah.
So how would you cover your back and also make sure, because then 9 times out of 10, they'll be called upon, and then you looked at, well, why didn't you do your service properly? And you're going, well, we actually did, but you didn't want us to come.
All right. So I'd be putting out the legislation. So MP 6.1 for us in Queensland. It's legislation that we have to show up and then point to the Children's Backpackers Fire in 2000.
Okay.
And so the legislation's in for that reason. It's what we all have to do to provide safety. If they don't want to get it done, that's fine. Like, you're not the police, you can't force them.
Yeah.
But definitely say, I'll need you to put that in writing that you don't want this service done this month.
Okay, so you actually would recommend getting it in writing?
Yeah, that way it puts it on them, and pretty much every time they will go, it's done. Just do it. You've got to do it. Just do it.
Okay.
So, right.
I'm pretty sure we've actually got a response letter as well, as a template. I'll double check where that's located. Just to basically respond back saying that, we acknowledge that you've opted to not carry out your services, blah, 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 and it lists the standards and everything like that.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, I'll double check where that is. I'm pretty sure we got a template for that, okay? And I'll let you know.
Thanks, Trish.
All right. So this month's customer acquisition, do we know how to calculate customer acquisition? So it's pretty easy for this one. It's if we spend $100 on ads over a year and we pick up 100 new clients, that's $1 per new client. So if you want to jump into SimPro and do your own, you can work it out pretty quickly. So just look at go into reports and then look at customers, customer created, put the date range for this year, and then hit search. So while you're doing that, Wide Bay picked up 90 new clients this year, and that was at a cost of $9,400. So it costs us $104.44 to pick up a new client. And that comes from paying for the marketing fund, labour, as you know, we pay, well, it doesn't matter where it ends up, but I end up paying somebody to walk around our territory and bang on doors, flyers, yellow pages as well. So once you break all that cost down, it's about 104. Amy, do you have yours there? Are you able to work it out? Just roughly, I don't expect everyone to have exact.
So what date range?
Just go year to date.
So we go reports, view reports, and then where do you go? Sorry.
So I go customers.
Yeah.
Customers created.
Yeah. And then your date range, do you the whole of May?
No, year to date.
Okay. Thank you.
Because the problem with that, obviously, they're not all customers, because sometimes you just create a customer to make a quote, don't you? So they're not all necessarily customers, are they? Like,
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I believe if you look down in the subline, it actually gives you a description of how it comes to that decision.
Okay, well, I've got 55 in brackets.
Yeah.
Focus, people. Focus.
All right. So once you've got that number, and then we know that we all pay into the marketing fund, so that's $6,000 a year. What additional stuff do you do on top of that? So, like Amy and Simon, I know you guys are doing radio ads. You're also doing the magazine, and you've got True Local, or I think it is.
We did that one show thing down in Brisbane.
So you got to add all that together.
Yeah, add it all together.
1,200. Well, I'd say $4,000.
Plus the 3 hours of 380, I make 12, 340.
No, that's that. I had that in there. So just work off that.
And divide that.
Yeah. $83.
$83. We had 148 customers for this financial year.
Okay.
They got 12,300 for marketing all up.
Yeah.
Roughly.
So that's less than Wide Bay. So you guys are doing better than us. Did anyone else have their figures worked out? It doesn't have to be exact. Well, we're just trying to get to rough numbers so we understand how much it really does cost to gain a client.
This reception's going
Yeah.
So probably one of the next questions while you're still going with that.
I did that, man.
Simon and Amy, because you've done your numbers and we've done ours, why would your territory be operating better than ours? So I think in this case, we're actually doing a little bit less marketing than you. So obviously that's probably showing that we've picked up less clients as well. And it's probably also the other side of it for us is that we've maxed a lot of our territory out in the Wide Bay area. I do still have room to run in Bundy. So that could be one reason. What marketing you are doing is probably working better as well. So like Simon said, the radio ad seems to work well for you. Would you put it down to that maybe as well? Would you be along the same thought line, or is there something different that you're doing that you think, no, we're definitely killing it here?
I think you're radio because it's branding as well.
Did anyone else have figures?
Hey, buddy.
All right. Did anyone else have figures?
No.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but $36 a client.
And I'd probably, yeah, with yours, Ben, I know that the website stuff works a lot better for you.
Yeah.
And given the population size that you've got as well.
Yep.
But $38 is still, the cost of doing a first service for free, really.
Yep.
To get that client.
Yep.
For us, we've got to do 2 free services before we actually start making money.
Yeah.
I think percentage rate will be better to work that out. There's figures.
Yep.
Cost percentage, percentage rate of, ratio. What's the actual ratio cost? Not figure costs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. What I'm going to get back to shortly is if we're spending, and to say that on average between all of us, we're spending around $60 to $70 to gain a client, or in our case, a lot higher. What can we do to basically gain clients at less cost?
Like we mentioned last time, basically go either end of where you are, on both sides, because that's all that we're doing at the moment. And we are gaining people through doing that as well. Yeah.
Yep. Any other ideas?
Yeah, just the simple letterbox drops when you're on site. Check your neighbours. Doesn't take that long.
Yep.
Head office pay for the marketing, all the marketing.
Up the marketing fund then.
I'm
eh?
sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that song. Did you say something? All right.
Is that Amy?
All right. So what we need to look at is, and this is sort of sprung from an idea that some of us are in that smoke alarms quoting website that they've started to create and push forward. And it looks at, so when Trish and I were at this thing, there's a couple other franchise systems and they're looking at what they're calling auto quoting. So some of it was very basic stuff to what they're talking about. But when I look at our business and when we discussed that, how to apply it, auto quoting, because basically for those low end clients, any amount of time we spend, like the 33, 44, anything under $50 client, you're pretty much losing money being there to quote or anything like that. So if we can automate that part of the business and have the client land on the website, self-quote, and it raises a job in our system, that means that would lower that cost of acquisition as well. And it means that any of the bigger clients we could look at, we could, obviously you've got to spend time with them because you really want that relationship as well. Mm-hmm. And that was what I was talking about, like building the other websites that we want to look at doing. So I have got one quote at 1,800. To be fair, he's the one building the training site. He's had a fair crack at it for a while. Not super confident. Another quote was $4,000. So I think we'd prefer to go that option. So the idea behind it is that we look at it and we go, I'm skipping forward here a bit, but we look at it and say like portables 1 to 3. we're pretty much all the same pricing on that. So it doesn't matter if they click 1, 2, or 3, whatever they click. Exit lights, can we add that in to auto quoting? Evac diagrams and staff training. So I probably should have explained one part first. Is how about we look at subscription based for clients rather than one-off pricing? So given that we've got a unique marketing position of having that training site, so if I walked into a client and I said, I can do your 3 portables, your exit lights, your evac diagram, and your staff training for, let's say, $50 a month, and that's all you'll ever pay. There is no repair bills. There's no nothing else. It's just $50 a month.
Then what happens when you need to replace?
You calculate that in, and of course that'd have to be a term in the thing that if the extinguisher is used in the 5-year period or in the whatever, it's got to be replaced. Like that's just the cost to them. So they get 1 free every 5 years or something like that. So that way you sort of look like you've been like handing over. So let's just say you won a site on that subscription-based model at $50 per month. And we'll do some calculations here because I haven't done any calculations on this. But if the opposition walk in and say, right, I can do your fire servicing for $44, for the 6 monthly test, and they say, well, hang on, these other guys are doing all this other work for me, it blows them, like their price goes well out of the water, especially once you add training. So the training is where we sort of excel because we've got that website built, and really it's going to cost us, like we make a special rate for them, $5. It doesn't really cost us too much for them to actually do the course. But if someone had to price that against us, they'd be like, well, I don't have that internet site that can actually assist me. All I've got is I have to go to someone else to quote the training or do the training themselves for an hour. Suddenly the price is through the roof. So we've also got Angela that can do evac diagrams. So we'd make it like we're targeting small clients here. So they're only going to typically have 1 diagram, maximum 2. If we calculate back how much that actually costs us in her time, you're looking at probably $10. Have I gone too fast for everyone on this?
No, I'm just taking it all in. Definitely small clients because body corps are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes with your smaller clients too, the body corp pays for the replacement extinguisher where the occupier pays for the maintenance.
Yeah.
So it might be a little bit hard
to
factor that in. I don't know. I see what you're trying to do because smoke alarm solutions do exactly what you're just saying for their smoke alarms. You pay a monthly fee or an annual fee, and that includes a replacement smoke alarm if it falls out of date. So they're working on averages where the chance of replacing a smoke alarm is low. So they get that money.
Yeah, even for us, the chances of replacing a fire extinguisher within the 5 years, yes, we do a few, but it's not that many. Like when it's attached to a truck, it increases a lot. But in a typical retail shop, which is what we're targeting, the chances are extremely slim. So, I suppose if you looked at including it and that sort of thing, but let's just say they went on and they said, I've got 4 extinguishers, then it automatically takes them to a different section where they fill out a form and we get the form. So it's another type of lead generation for us as well.
Yeah.
So it works that it'll pick up the smaller clients and self-quote, so we don't have to worry about doing that. And then it also, any of the bigger ones that do happen to fall upon the site, it'll give you the lead.
How would you market the small business? Would you say, are you a owner operator with under 300 square meters, or do you own a cafe?
I'd target everyone, Ben. So So what my thoughts are is basically go on the FCF website or whatever we end up calling it. We probably won't call it FCF. We'll call it something like Fair Fire or something like that. And say, check now. Check within 5 minutes. Is your provider giving you the best possible price? And just leave it purely at that and try drag those ones across that go, oh, I'd like to know more about that. That's just my thoughts. Like, that's only the first, like, this has got a long
This
way
is
to
a very,
go.
very new idea.
Yeah, it's literally last week.
Yeah, we discussed this last week.
Yeah, it's just a lot of variables with our, because
Yeah.
you got fire panels, you got sprinkler systems, you got everything.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
the
you
smoke alarm solution guys, they're just doing smoke alarms.
Yeah, but if they tick any of those boxes, it's a lead to you. You follow the leader.
Right.
Anything, look, what I'm trying to do is stay on customer acquisition. Is those bigger ones, you get your money back straight away within the first year. With the smaller ones, it takes us a long time to get our money back. And in my case, or my base case, we got to do the first 2 services, so a whole year for free before we actually get our money back.
Yeah.
So I want to cut that to 0. I want our first job to be profitable.
So you'd have a tick box selections, like, do you have a fire panel? Do you have a sprinkler system? Do you have emergency lights?
Yep.
And if they're ticking those, would the message just come up and say, contact Ben from Brisbane South? Is that?
No, take the details. So we want to get as much information. So we'll get, if we can get a phone number, a name, business name, an email address, I'd be happy because it gives us all contact.
Whereas if they only tick fire extinguishers, then it take them to the next page? Or?
Yeah, they just continue through. So
Simple.
we'll just set the pricing.
Yep.
And I do want to talk about pricing as well because typically when we start in a new territory, we will aim at 3 for 33, and then as we evolve, we'll move 4 to 44. And then for those that are older and want to, you can charge for the asset fee and extinguisher disposal. It's up to you. But what we need to do is we'd have to have a generic price of this, and I want to call it an entry price. And in Pro, you can rank companies. So if we rank these guys at, say, a D or C, down the bottom, and in a year's time, so you do 2 services, on the 1.5-year service, the third one, you up it to the standard rate. So you build that relationship, then we up it to where we actually want to sit. So I know Blazemaster do it. I know other guys do it that way as well. So it's about getting in the door, and then once the customer's happy, they usually stick around. So I think the key to it is, I've got FlameStop going back now, trying to negotiate the 5-year warranty. So they've offered 4, which still isn't 5. But with the exit lights, we've got 5-year warranty. BFI extinguishers have offered us 5-year warranties, so we can get the 5-year. And then it's just about calculating it all out to say, right, how much is a service? How much is a service going to cost us? And then how much is an extinguisher going to cost to break it down by 5? How much is the evac diagram going to cost us and the stuff training? And then probably market that as a full compliance package, because everyone wants to comply. Like if we look at all our clients, they basically, just about 99% of them only do what's required to AS 1851. Like not many actually say, come and service my extinguishers every 3 months because I want to make sure I'm safe. So that's what majority of businesses are looking for, is just that basic compliance. So if we market it that way, like we'll give you everything you need for basic compliance, here it is, but it's in a subscription fee and you don't have to actually pay. How does that, you don't pay for repairs and that sort of thing. pretty much exactly what Smoke Alarm Solutions are doing in that case. Does that sound like something we should investigate in more, do some numbers on?
So you're basically trying to sell a tailored package to each client.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to do is tailor that package that makes it profitable for us, like better than what we're getting now at the $44 or the 33.
Right.
However, when that package is added up on somebody else's fire company that actually has to do physical training, then, you know, that's where our buffer sits. So we can sit above where we normally sit now and well below them, and we win the work.
Well, you don't know unless you try.
Yeah. The problem is we've got to try on the internet, and that thing can be pretty funny to put stuff out on. So,
Yeah.
and it's going to be, you know, like it is a $4,000 investment. That's just in cash, and then obviously all of our time going through the ins and outs of it.
Like, for example, the training. So would it be online training?
Online training. So that way we shortcut anyone doing anything and keep it in that profit range. You can give them the option of doing the physical training. That's more than, you know, you can do anything above it. So this is try and gain that client that we don't have and move them to a subscription based. And the good thing about that is you're guaranteed the repairs in it. The other good thing as well is when they fill out the information and they to get the self quote, our terms and conditions are attached in there, and you've got them immediately. So they're on your terms and conditions. In cash flow, you mentioned cash flow. So cash flow means that you're consistently getting money out of them every month, opposed to actually once every 6 months.
Just not too sure about evac diagrams, because a lot of people don't actually need them. The small cafes and businesses, if they're under 300 square meters, they don't need one.
Yeah, that's true, and you can have that in there. Like, is your building under 300 square meters? No. Tick. Oh,
Yep.
yes. Tick. It just doesn't include it.
Yep.
And given the cost of it, you know, if we're clever about it, we could include it, even though they don't actually need it, and then add at the bottom of our evac diagrams a bigger section where it's got branding. So we actually use it as a branding tool on their wall in their cafe, rather than, you know, just sort of saying, no, you don't want it, you don't need it.
Yep.
Why is nobody else? Is no one else there? Hello.
Yeah, Ben's talking. Simon and Amy are on mute, I think. Please,
Well, I'm all for set pricing.
Yeah.
Just makes life so much easier than individual pricing.
Yeah. All right. So what we need to do then is to go through and work out how we're going to set that pricing, what we're going to include, and, you know, then go through that. I don't know if we'd have time now to do it, because I think it'll be a little bit complex to go through and try and figure it out. I do think we need to include emergency lights in it, in that package. If you look at emergency lights and we have to replace them, you know, and we just work out the equations of how it works out over a 5-year period, because that's where your warranties sit. And then we need to work out something, you know, if we look at our client retention rates, majority of us have got really good retention rates, and the only ones we're typically losing is really because of business closures. So we probably need to try and work out those rates as well, to say, well, if you're getting X amount of money each month up front, how long does it take us to actually recover the parts on those exit lights and the extinguisher? If we can recover it in the first year, then the next, going on 5-10 years later, the rest of it you're sort of just pocketing, I suppose, with your service.
Well, to keep your pricing down, you probably want to look at a cheaper light fitting, not so much those 5-yearly ones, because if you put one of them in your first year and then your client shuts its door or leaves you, or if you try to factor that price in for the first year, it's going to put it way up there.
Well, we've got 3 years with Hector as well, so whether we looked at the 3-year model.
Yeah, we're using them now, Jacob, instead of flame stock.
Yeah.
And we're having, they seem to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And they're well priced for what they are.
Yeah, and that's what, like, if they're pretty much
the next model down, not the 5-yearly, but the middle range.
Oh, still Ecator.
Yeah.
Evolt. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think if we can get people to that subscription model, it's a lot easier for us. It means like you put them onto the direct debit through it. But if we can give options rather than just here, this is what we're quoting, we got a better chance of winning clients as well. So probably with that website, have auto quoting, and then at the end, once it gives a figure, say, hey, here's an option. You can go subscription based. You can go the typical way we do it. It's up to you.
And then you can be like McDonald's and put participating territories only.
That's right.
And you'll get fries with that as well. All right. So if you want, actually go back and work out how much it costs you to gain a client off your figures. So that way, when we actually do these calculations out and we can work it out properly, we'll be able to have a discussion around where it actually sits. So next month we might actually continue this one on, just to give everyone that extra room breather before we hit the budget one. Does that sound fair?
Yep.
And then we can go to the ins and outs of how it's actually going to work. So if you've got those actual figures, and then if we look at it from a customer acquisition, from the effort we put in, and then from the $4,000 for the website, and then how much it's costing us to get a customer, then the price would be pretty small across the whole group.
What are we working our figures out on? Like how many exit lighting, evacuation, training, everything? You want us to give an idea?
Yeah, so work it out off everything. We don't want to break it down into smaller. We just want customer acquisition because this site will work on both. We want it to get the smaller ones and get them to self-qualify. Then we want the bigger ones to actually just float in. Like we'll can't quote them.
But we all need to be quoting on the same thing.
Yeah.
So are we going to include smoke alarms in that as well, or?
No, we'll probably leave smoke alarms out of it because that's really domestic.
Okay, so it's emergency exit lighting, the normal portable service. And
to keep it easy, let's just go for how many clients you gained across the year, and then how much you spent on marketing for the year. We will be breaking new ground with this as well, as the first one is subscription based. It's not the first time we've broken new ground, so I'm happy to push it forward. And then as we go, once we work out all the figures next month, we can then talk about the marketing of it as well. Because I think if we looked at it, we could run one generic ad in everyone's territory, and then obviously have the SEO guy push it and Sky do blogs about it.
Yep, I'm all for it, Jacob.
Who is this Sky? Where's she from, Jacob?
She lives in Kingaroy, and she's just works remote. for us. So she does 3 days a week for us, like for me doing books, and that's all I sort of hired her for was the book work. However, her resume was like really impressive. It's the best I've ever seen in presentation wise. So she had a video of herself, why she would be good for the company. She had all this other stuff. She's trained in Xero, so she goes in and trains other companies. She's only pretty young. I think she's 28. But obviously, yeah, when we looked at the marketing side of it, it's like, we need you. You have to be on board here. So she's only really been kicking in for about 2 months. She's been trying to work out what's been happening, fixing up the back end. And like she said, like she tells me all the stuff she's up to. And I just said to her last month, you need to start sharing this with the group so they understand what you're actually doing. So, you creating these new leads and all the stuff is great. I have had Jaden Tazzy come back because he technically doesn't start till the end of the month. He's got 4 or 5 leads already, and he's still trying to work his other job. So he's like, the marketing team's hitting it. And I'm like, well, that's good. But, we're just trying to drag some figures out of call centers and stuff now. Speaking of call center, I accidentally left that out of the marketing as well, so I'll add that into it and try and work that figure out. I don't know what it costs us. We did look at moving the call center into the support office, and that's why I hired Jessie. However, Jessie left. She probably wasn't ideal, so I was sort of stuck with the call center for a little bit. But we'll work out how many calls we're getting and what we can do about it, because the call center is getting better, and they've got a whole new script that they wanted to charge us $2,000 for. However, if we sign another contract, they'll give it to us for free. But I don't want to sign another contract until we know the figures. So I've asked that yesterday. All right. The other big news is we're nearly done the franchise manual. So just doing the last editing now. Hopefully you will have it Friday. So it has blown up from the last operations manual. It did get to 1,200 pages at one stage. I think it's back to
Just under 700 pages.
just under 700 now. So what we've tried to do is include everything, include procedures, anything that anyone might ask. The main focus has been around when you add staff on or when you try and step away from a position and move into, whatever else you're doing. Basically, that manual, you just hand it and say, here, read this section. That's what you need to know about. And it tells you what to do. Right, so, yeah, I've got a bit more reading to do. Then Trisha's going to revise it again, and then we can put it out. It will be a living document, so anything that does pop up that is, somebody says it's difficult, we'll go back in, revise that section, add in extra steps, and then we'll let you guys know. You'll have to all sign off on it that we've made a change. You understand it, and then just the process. We're going to keep doing that. All right. There's some exciting stuff coming up then. Self-quoting websites. I like it.
Bring it on.
Yep. They're good.
Sounds good.
All right. We'll let you all go and have a good day.
Thank you.
Working on your business.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. See ya.
Bye.